Hi everybody, it is time for Weather School for Kids. On the back porch, yes, right here on my back porch, I'm meteorologist Lisa Spencer. Hope your spring is off to a great start. You know, one of the things though that we think about during the spring, thunderstorms. And this time of year is when we have more thunderstorms than any other time of the year. So let's learn a little bit about thunderstorms. That's going to be today's lesson. There's three things that if you know these three things, you can really help to keep your family safe. So let's talk about what those three things will be. First off, we need to know what makes a thunderstorm severe. There are specific things that are used as guidelines to say, okay, this is a severe thunderstorm, whereas this storm may not be one. What are they? Here's a question for you. Which of these three things is not used to determine if a storm is severe? So I've got a list for you. High wind, hail, lightning, or a tornado. Think about that. Which of these three things is not used to determine if a storm is severe? If you said lightning, you are right. All thunderstorms, by definition, will have lightning. But high wind, hail, and tornadoes are the three things that are used to know if we're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning or not. Let's talk about those three things. First off, high winds. We're talking about winds that are 58 miles an hour or greater. And hail. We're talking about hail that is 1 inch in diameter or larger. So compare that to a quarter. It's about that big. And then a tornado. But I will tell you, if there's a tornado or the potential of a tornado, it's going to get its own warning. So there'll be a tornado warning. So really concentrating on these first two first. Let's start with winds. Winds that are 58 miles an hour or higher, those are what's used to determine if a storm is severe because they have been determined to say, this can do damage. This can do a lot of damage. A near 60 mile an hour wind can blow down a weak tree or maybe a bigger tree that it's rained for days and days and days, or maybe the roots are already very unstable. It also can do roof damage too. So winds can be very dangerous, even if they're not winds in a tornado. The other thing is hail. I think hail is fascinating, the way that it forms. So let's talk about it. First off, this is a cumulonimbus cloud. That's a big thunderstorm cloud. Inside this cloud, there are winds that go up, there are winds that go down. So we have updrafts and downdrafts. And right here towards the top of the cloud is what I like to call the freezer. That's the layer where if you put little water in there, it will freeze and form hail. I like to think about it as my refrigerator. A lot of refrigerators, the freezer is located on the top. So if you put water in an ice tray, stick it in a freezer, it's going to freeze, right? And make ice. Well, eventually this ice is going to fall back down in the thunderstorm. The updraft's going to push it back up and it'll fall back down. And every time it goes up inside this thunderstorm, it's going to get a little coating of ice. So it's going to grow bigger and bigger. And we like to say that once it gets up in that thunderstorm, gets so big that the wind can't hold it up, then it's going to fall to the ground. And that's when we can measure how big that hail is. And here's how you measure. We like to use things that we all can identify with, like a pea, like a penny, like a nickel, like a quarter. And there's that inch size hail that can do damage. And then you can see here, golf ball size hail, tennis ball size hail. Wow, you're getting big now. Baseball and softball size hail, 4 inches in diameter. So think about a ball that you're familiar with. All right, can you think of some of those balls? What size ball do you think is the largest size piece of hail that's ever been recorded? Got that? Well, if you think of a volleyball, then you are right. Volleyball size hail. That's the largest that's ever been recorded. All right, now let's take a look at how this works. Let's take our blow dry, for example. That is going to be the wind inside the thunderstorm. Now let's use one of those balls I was talking about. Sorry, this is a little bit loud, I know. Okay, so we've got a ping pong ball. We'll say that's a piece of hail. Notice how it keeps going up inside the thunderstorm. The updraft keeps pushing it up. Well, eventually it's going to grow, and if it grows to be a tennis ball, what's going to happen now? Ooh, it's going to fall out, right? Is it ever going to stay up with this blow dryer wind? No, it's too heavy, right? And the wind is not strong enough, so it's going to fall to the ground. So if you see hail on the ground, think about how big it is and how strong the wind in that thunderstorm must have been to hold it up inside the storm. Try that experiment at home. You can even try putting 2 balls inside, and it works. It works. You have to be diligent, though, to try to get it to do that. The last thing is a tornado. Tornadoes are violently rotating winds. So here, you can be a human tornado, all right? Spin around and around and around and around, and I would, except I would get tripped up in my microphone. But go around really, really fast, and you're probably going to fall to the ground from being so dizzy. Well, that's what we have to think about when we think about a tornado. It's violently rotating wind, so it's wind that's going around and around really, really fast. It's a tornado if it goes from the bottom of the thunderstorm and makes contact with the ground. If it doesn't reach the ground, we call that a funnel cloud. Do you know what we call a funnel cloud that is over water? Think about that one. It's not a hurricane, it's a water spout. A water spout. And if that water spout comes over land and touches the ground, then it is a tornado. Before we go any farther, though, I think it'd be fun to do another little experiment. And also, this is one that you can do at home. Have you ever had a tornado in a bottle? Well, they're really, really easy to make. You just need 2 2-liter bottles like these. Fill one of the bottles up about 3/4 of the way, so about right here. Now, for a little fun, I like to add stuff. You can add food coloring and change the color of the water. You can put some glitter in here. I've got some red glitter. I'm going to be very patriotic today. I have got some blue stars. I'm going to put those in there. But you can use all kinds of fun things just to make your tornado in a bottle unique. Now, what we need to do to put these 2 things together is I have a tornado tube. And there's what it came in. But you can order these online. They're very inexpensive, but if you can't do that, no problem. Take a roll of duct tape, and if you work really, really hard, you can get these 2 bottles to stay together and make your tornado in a bottle. All right, so the key here is you got to spin this on here, tighten it up. Otherwise, you might get wet. So I better move my blow dryer just in case I don't get it together enough. Okay, so here we go. We've got our bottle together. Now, we're going to spin our bottle around. I see stars and glitter in there. There's our tornado in a bottle. I'm getting just a little wet. So if you think about this, our funnel, our tornado in a bottle is going around and around and around and around. Now it looks like it's raining on the bottom, doesn't it? But if we were creating a tornado in the air, that tornado would act like a vacuum. Just like vacuuming across the floor. You know how your vacuum sucks up stuff inside of it? Well, that's what would be happening with a tornado. But unlike this bottle or the bag in your vacuum cleaner, these stars, this glitter, or anything a real-life tornado picked up would fly through the air. Come back, tornado. And we would call that flying debris. And that's how people get hurt, is through flying debris. I think my stars may be getting right down there in the bottom and clogging up our tornado. But let's talk a little bit more about flying debris in just a few moments. Hands are wet. All right, now let's go to the next one. This is number 2. Remember I said we got 3 things to know to keep your family safe during a tornado? This is the next one. How do you know if there's a severe storm in your area? 2 key words we need to know: watch and warning. A watch is issued, for example, a tornado watch is issued if we have storms that are likely to develop a tornado. So if all the conditions are right, the right recipe to make a tornado. So what we need to do, be on the lookout. Tornado watches are issued for a big area like part of Kentucky and part of Tennessee. And they're also in effect for a long period of time, like from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So a watch just means you need to pay attention to the weather that day. A warning. A warning is it's happening now. Either a tornado has been detected on radar or someone has seen a tornado. So if that's the case, that means you need to take action right now and make sure you get to your safe place. But how do you know if there's a tornado watch or warning issued? Well, TV, for one. You know, meteorologists are going to be on television telling you if there is a tornado warning issued. So our forewarned storm team will do just that on News 4. But also, you want to have some added protection. You want to have an app that will send you weather information. So our forewarned weather app is a great one, and that's something that you put on your phone. So make sure if you have a phone, it's on your phone, or if your parents have a phone, make sure it's on their phone so they can get weather information. I also like for everybody to have a weather radio in their home. They're about $30 or so, and they will sound an alarm every time that there's a tornado warning issued in your area. So those are 3 ways that you can find out if there's a tornado warning. Very important if you're asleep, because we want you to wake up if there are severe storms in your area. So the third thing you need to know is, what do I do if there is a tornado warning? You've got to get to the safest place you can get, right? So let's talk about what that's going to be. Think low, think central, think small, and think about putting as many walls as possible between you and that storm. So let's talk about that. Think low, think central. If you've got a basement, that's a great place to be. A storm shelter, great. If you don't have those, find the center of your home, maybe a bathroom or closet. I'm going to show you why in just a second. Also think small. Don't want to be in a big room. You don't want to be in the big vaulted ceiling living room. Not a good place to be. You want to be in that closet or bathroom. And you want to be in the center because you're like building a fort. And I know some of you like to build forts. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And here's a look at why. Remember we talked about the flying debris a few minutes ago? This is what it looks like. All that stuff flying around in the air. Well, most people get hurt from the flying debris. We don't want that to happen. So you don't want to be on the top floor. Usually the first thing to happen when a tornado comes through is the roof comes off. So you want to be down here on this bottom floor. And garages, I've had a lot of people say, hey, what if I get in the car in the garage? Not a good place to be. Garages are too large, they're too weak, and they actually can explode. So we don't want to be there, right? This is why you want to be in the bathroom or closet, because when we look at tornado damage, usually we see the center of the house still there. And you can see the bathtub. Bathtub's a good place to be. And you know what? You can take with you, for example, a helmet, some pillows, some blankets. If you've got a closet that you're going to use, go on and have that stuff in there. All those things can help protect you from flying debris. And here's a look at what's still standing during a tornado, I should say. It's usually the center of the building. So again, that's why we want you to be there. What about mobile homes? I know a lot of folks live in mobile homes. Where do you go? Well, honestly, mobile homes will flip over and over. So if you live in a mobile home, you want to make sure that you go to a neighbor's home that may have a sturdier home, or you can even go outside and lie flat in a ditch if you don't have a specific storm shelter or someplace you typically go if you live in a mobile home. Because if you're in a low-lying area, a low-lying ditch, that also can cause or help you be more protected. So 3 things you need to know to help keep you and your family safe. Know what a severe thunderstorm is. Remember, we talked about winds, we talked about hail, and we talked about tornadoes. That's when we're going to get a warning. Stay connected. Make sure that you know how to get a warning. Know a weather radio, also television, and an app on your phone. The News 4 app is great, and it's a freebie. And know your safe place. Remember, you're going to think low, you're going to think central, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So here's your homework. make sure you know the safest place to be in your home if you don't already know. Maybe you and your parents can figure that out together. Now's the part, which could be a little tricky, but if you have any questions, let me know. And if you have a suggestion for a topic that you would like for us to talk about here on our Weather School for Kids, we can do that as well. Just give us some ideas, because we're going to be doing this every day just to help out with some homeschooling. All right. Well, if you don't have any questions today, you can certainly ask me questions later. You can certainly email me too with any questions that you might have. My email address is lspencer@wsmv.com. lspencer@wsmv.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will tell you that each and every day, right here, Monday through Friday on my back porch, I feature my dogs and we do back deck weather. So if you want to have a fun weather forecast with some really cute dogs, you can join me. And I usually do that a few minutes before 1 o'clock every day on my Facebook page, which is Lisa Spencer. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I look forward to seeing your questions. And I hope you had fun with our Weather School for Kids right here on the back porch.